Willkommen zum Essen mit Joe. Heute essen wir Kuchen. Wie aus meinem schrecklichen Deutsch hervorgeht, I am not a fluent German speaker, but Google Translate is, and that's going to get us through this week's episode. But before we get going, first, as always, I want to thank you for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing. Remember to hit that bell by the subscribe button, and you will never miss another episode. As I said, welcome to another Eatin with Joe.
Me and my COVID haircut.
We're continuing our tour of the states and focusing on iconic foods from each of those states we visit. And today we're headed to the great state of South Dakota.
Dakota.
Now there are a lot of foods we could feature from South Dakota, but this week we are taking a viewer submission. That's right, some of our viewers in South Dakota gave me a great idea for an authentic South Dakota German Kuchen recipe.
Kuchen.
So that's what we're featuring today. Now, as everybody knows, Kuchen is German for cake.
Kuchen.
And there are as many recipes out there for Kuchen as there are recipes for cake. But today we're making arguably the most well-known and well-loved recipe, and that's apple cake.
Apfelkuchen.
This recipe was sent in by Keely, Marnie, and Corey from Rapid City, South Dakota. Dreams really do come true. Now, of course, if any of you have an idea for a food or a state that you want Eatin with Joe to feature, put it in the comments. As always, I welcome any and all comments, and I'll respond to each and every one. So, why German and why South Dakota? I'm glad you asked. We'll get to that in a second, but first, to the kitchen.
Küche.
All right, cooking is a very straightforward and simple recipe. All the typical ingredients of a cake: flour, sugar, eggs, fruit milk, cream, and yeast. I'll have the link to the actual recipe below in the comments. As always, safety first.
Sicherheit zuerst.
Now, all that said, we almost were unable to make this. Who knew that one of the biggest shortages we'd see because of this pandemic would be yeast? Many of the stores have been out of yeast for 5 or 6 weeks or even longer, but I was able to score 4 ounces of the good stuff from one of the local bakers here. I used 1 ounce for this recipe, and if anybody's interested, I'll take bids on the other 3 ounces. Now, for the filling on this, you can use any fruit you want, but apple is the correct answer. And now, let's eat.
Und jetzt lass uns essen.
All right, I'm going to absolutely house this thing. So listen along, learn a few things along the way, and stick around to the end. Jawohl. And of course, with anything like this, big old glass of milk. Yeah. All right, getting back to the original great question, why German and why South Dakota? So South Dakota has one of the largest percentages of German immigrants in its population out of all the states. German heritage is thick in South Dakota, and they love showing it off. There's a big Oktoberfest celebration in Deadwood. There's a German Fest in Sioux Falls. There's even something called Schmeckfest in Freeman.
Geschmacksfest.
So it's obvious that German culture runs thick in South Dakota, but there's a lot more to South Dakota than a bunch of misplaced Fritzes and Helgas. If you've never been, you gotta go. It is a fantastic no-fly road trip family vacation. Now, I don't have time to tell you about everything that you can see in South Dakota, but I'm going to continue to dig in here and give you the 50-cent tour of all the highlights that you can see in South Dakota. There's Mount Rushmore, Crazy Horse, Deadwood, the incredible South Dakota Badlands, just awesome. Custer State Park is sweet. It's about 70,000 acres. It has about 1,500 North American bison. It is awesome. Here you can actually drive up and sometimes right through the herd, and you can really get up close and personal these incredible North American buffalo. Or they can just reach in and lick your car. All right, next stop is Sturgis. Sturgis is home to the largest motorcycle rally in the world. Since 1968, riders from all over the world gather at the end of the summer in Sturgis. It now attracts over 500,000 people every year. Just about anything goes at the rally. Now, crossing from west to east, you'll come across the Missouri River, the Corn Palace, the Landmark Inn in Murdo, and finally to the major cities of the east. There's Sioux Falls, Howard, Flandreau, Brookings. Go Jacks. All right. That was a pretty quick tour, granted. But it is a fantastic trip. Plan a week, make it a road trip with the family, spend some time. It's awesome. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed the cooking. And again, if you ever have any ideas on states you want me to feature or foods you want me to try, put them in the comments below. We appreciate any and all comments. And again, thanks for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. And until next time, Auf Wiedersehen. Not bad, people. Not bad.
Quarantäne. Pandemie. Verstehen.